Hello, am. I finally have time to have a very, very short rant this time, as I'd mentioned last time, that the topic would be about Arena. So, just a very, very short tangent about Arena and how to handle it and how to approach it. So, sorry, this time I didn't put my notes on a notepad on the screen, so it didn't disrupt looking at Dragon City. I have written it on a whiteboard. So let's see here. First point. Sorry about that noise. First point of Arena. So I recommend it to not climb Arena or the Arena ranking as an early player. And early player, I mean, if your level is somewhere in between level 1, obviously, to level 30. I would not recommend climbing. And I would not recommend climbing if your account is only, let's say, 2 months old, 2 to 3 months old. So that's my definition of an early player. More so, these parameters don't really matter if you are able to, let's say, build a team of heroics or legendaries with skills within the span or before the time frame of 2 to 3 months or level 1 to 30. Again, this is all about your pacing and what you do have available at the moment. But otherwise, defining the early player parameters is important because I think a lot of players have an easy time to climb initially, but you will face a wall very early on in terms of the overall rankings of the arenas. So again, why do we purposely stay low? Because there must be a reason, right? Otherwise, might as well climb. Even if there is a wall, you might as well climb to the highest and, just sit there until you can eventually develop a team good enough to pass the wall. Well, no, because there are two main reasons for staying low, which are going to be for events and alliance chests. Now, for events, this is not as often a requirement. For a lot of events, don't require you to do arena battles to gain event currency mostly. So for that one, it's like I don't think that's a very good argument, as there's not too many events, but still a valid argument, as performing well in arenas tend to give you good rewards like food and gold, just mostly food, I'll be honest, and maybe some other things. Most events I've experienced that require arena as something that needs to be done to get the event currency, generally those events don't hold very good dragons. So again, for those events, mostly just food. So you get more food if you are able to perform well in arena consistently, right? So that's one good reason. But mostly I'm going to be referring to performance in alliance chests, because alliance chests, as we know, some of the requirements for getting points for an alliance chest is arena battles, and actually winning those battles. And the reason, sorry, that's a timer going off for my battle in heroic race. The reason for that, for alliance chest performance, is that first off, alliance chest is amazing, right? I think there is no argument around it. Alliance chess is great for early game players. It's great for late game players. It scales with level, Alliance chess, if you didn't know. So, in general, the performance of your entire alliance on the chess is indicative of, your overall growth of your account. So, damn, I got +2 items. You gotta be fucking with me. Shit. I will just gem the last one, unfortunately. So, it's indicative of your own growth, how well your alliance is going to perform. Again, most alliance chests are great. Some give food, some give orbs, some give both. Some give, just a variety of things that are going to be useful nonetheless to you. So performing well in the alliance chest helps not only you, but your entire team. And if you're going to want to go to a good performing alliance, like a alliance that hits level 6 or 5 chests consistently, you actually have to contribute well, right? You have to contribute because, let's for example, my alliance currently, if you're under 2.5k points, you get kicked because you're just not contributing at all. And honestly, I think 2.5k points is relatively low for a base requirement. Obviously, I think 2.5K it's all very relative. It's just based on each test varies in difficulty, of course. But for arena, realistically I think you should be performing well beyond 2.5K, especially if you're not delusional and placing yourself where you don't belong. So just understand that staying low in arena allows you to more consistently grow your point threshold if you can actually take each fight instead of consistently skipping or using fights to skip, right? Because one of the mechanics of arena is that you can skip battles, but if you skip enough, like let's say I skip 1, I skip 2, usually once you skip this one, it requires gems. So I skip 3 battles and the 4th one requires gems. I never recommend using gems. Now what I have to do is I actually have to fight to reset my skips, so that way it doesn't require gems. Like for example, I just willingly choose to lose that one. Now it resets and now I can use gold and food again. Now this can work, but my only issue with that is that once you reach a certain point, and I have a level 50 account, once you reach a certain point, like let's for example, my level 50 account had reached Rider's Passage 2. I was on the cusp of reaching Clash of Claws 1, but at this point, my team, which I would argue slightly undeveloped, let's see here. Can I not see myself? Oh, I need to sign into Facebook, that's why. Okay, so my level 50 account, I would argue it's very slightly undeveloped and over-leveled, but regardless of over-leveling, that doesn't matter in arena, but it's underdeveloped in terms of, my team. I don't have any heroics, I don't have any legendaries with good skills, I only have Cosmic Detonation. So the performance of my team currently and on this other account is pretty poor. Again, I'm on the cusp of reaching Clash of Claws 1 on that account, and I have to consistently use 2 to 3 battle bars, right? 2 to 3 battle bars to get new skips and to find a good fight. So basically it requires me to waste half of my battles just so I can find a single good fight. And obviously I am effectively skipping, so I'm not being delusional. I'm not just fighting just to skip. No, I'm skipping and then fighting to get more skips. So if I have to do that, then I clearly don't belong in that arena. That's the simple truth. Maybe my team simply doesn't belong in Rider's Passage 1 and 2. If I can barely reach Clash of Claws 1 and I have to consistently skip half of the fights I have, or more than half, like I skip about, I would say every let me do the math real quick. 9. If I can only take 1 in every 4 fights, let's say, or 1 in every 3 fights, I believe is actually the correct math, then I am not performing well enough to argue that I should keep on climbing, because it's just going to keep on getting harder and harder, and my team is not necessarily developing with arena. In fact, you climbing arena doesn't actually benefit you that much. You don't get anything good or useful out of this besides, resources, which, 350,000 food sounds good on paper, but to be honest, you can get that from an alliance chest. You can easily, and these are one-time rewards, right? You can easily get this amount from alliance chest if you performed well and you entered an alliance that's good and has high requirements for the point threshold for the chest itself. You can get this amount of food triple-fold, right? Like triple this amount of food you can get from alliance chest most of the time. This gold is obviously useless, and XP is even more useless. And these gems are completely insurmountable to like the gem gained from leagues and tokens. Again, I in my last video I argued against tokens and the idea of upgrading habitats past level 3 or onto level 3, because the XP gain on there is not in any way proportional to the actual gain of the actual progress of your entire. And everything, like you just get more gold by upgrading your habitats, and you get more XP, which leveling up, of course, is bad. You know what? I'm not even going to rant about those things because I had done that in the previous video about League, and I pointed out all of these valid points in my opinion. So again, there is no reason to keep pushing an arena, because if you're just not consistently doing well and you have to consistently use skips or you even use these fights fight bar, part of the fight bar to skip, you know, you have shit dragons. You legitimately have shit dragons, and you should stop climbing, because you should just stay low. Let's say around, you know, the let's see here, around like a 2K threshold. I would say 2K is honestly very consistent. It's extremely easy to climb from, you know, beginners to hatchling encounter 1. I would say most of these fights were relatively easy, and definitely like no challenge, barely use skips pretty much. So this is an extremely good area to be in to continuously have good arena fights. So, you know, climbing, again, there's no gain for it, so why climb at all? Let's see here. You know, when you have like those pop-ups that tell you lost trophies, just hit accept. Don't, you know, repeal those losses. Just accept the losses, because you can't, I don't want you to drop too low. I obviously, you know, you gain more trophies than you lose, right? So you gain 25 a win and you lose 15 on losses. So eventually, you know, there's always going to be more gain than losses. So, you know, most of the times you want to accept the losses that they give you, like the pop-ups where say, you know, lost 30 trophies, 1 trophy sometimes. You know, just accept those, because you're already gaining more than you lose. And then on some days, use some of your fight bars to lose trophies so you can stay relatively low. You know, just try to stay as low as possible. Try to stay where you know you can consistently win, let's say 5-6 of your fight bar, right? So you only have like one time where you have to use a single fight bar to reset your skips here. If you can use just a single fight bar to reset these skips, then you're in the right arena. You're in the right arena. That's really what I'm trying to say at. If you can consistently use 5 of your fight bars to win fights, and you only have to use 1 to reset skips, then you're in the correct arena, and you should stay there, because again, performance for arena is indicative of your performance in Alliance Chess, which is super important. And events, I guess, if you want to put events in there, but again, I won't argue for events too hard. But basically try to stay at net lost at least. So you know, I did the math that day. So basically, you know, if you win 3, you'll get plus 75. If you lose 3, you know, if you were to use, let's say, half to lose and half to win, obviously you would still have a gain of 30 trophies. If you want to prevent that, what you can do instead is you win 2 and you lose 4. If you lose 4, it's a minus 60 trophy loss. If you win 2, it is a plus 50. So that means you are on a net loss of minus 10 trophies. If you do this every day, you would eventually have a net loss of 70 trophies by the end of the week. Now, again, this is, for example, me who doesn't care about arena, or, you know, there's no Alliance Chess. I only use the entire 6 fights I have in one day, and then obviously, even though my bar will reset, I don't fight again. Again, there's not many benefits to fighting an arena besides ranking up. In fact, this is a perfect segue to my other point. If you're going to stay low, what you can do is basically you have a consistent tool of ranking up your dragons besides league. For example, in fact, if you have fucked up your league, let's say you're level like 50 like my other account, and your league is completely screwed because your team sucks ass, you at least have one other tool to start ranking up your dragons, which is arena. It of course gets significantly harder as you climb in arena, especially if your team is shit. So why not stay in the lower stages of arena, so that way you have more good fights where your dragons can kill, because you have to kill to gain XP, where your dragons can kill other dragons, and you basically have a good source of XP gain, right? Especially if, you know, you're very smart and you actually are able to efficiently use your fight bar. Let's say you win 6 fights, and then, you know, for the rest of the day you just keep losing fights to stay at a loss, and then, you know, you win 6 more fights. This is an excellent, and the next day you win 6 more fights. You know, you can win as, like, basically there is a mathematical way to stay at a net loss and be able to basically, you know, abuse the fact that your dragons can keep killing these lower level dragons and rank up. You know, maybe once you get to plat 3, then you start to think, okay, I can start climbing. Plat 3 is the highest ranking for dragons. Let's see here, and for anybody who's like, why is this happening, or like, why are you making this argument, like, shouldn't I just climb if I can? Arenas are insanely bad. Like, it's, the setup is bad and it's horribly scaled. again, I have a level 50 account with pretty shit, I would say, okay, they're pretty shit dragons, but somewhat adequate. And I was expecting, okay, I'm going to climb maybe to a halfway point and then, get stuck. No, I got stuck around, Clash of Claws 2, which isn't even near the halfway point. Or not Clash of Claws 2, sorry, Clash of Claws 1, I hadn't even reached there, because I was experiencing what I would call people who also purposely stay low in arenas. Other people do this as well. This is not like a thing I think is just, like very unique, something I'm pointing out. No, I think a lot of the higher level players and higher quote-unquote elo players do. They purposely stay in low arenas because, before Clash of Clans 1, I started experiencing, empowered 1 to 2 dragons, level 45, level 40 to 40 higher, sometimes level 45, level 50, and a lot of times these dragons are heroics or, they're legendaries with skills, like sometimes vamps. So basically it was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I'm not even at the halfway point. I'm experiencing these dragons, which I would argue are probably are pretty good late game dragons, right? Like ones you would expect in, because, after watching a lot of players, or watching like a YouTuber like Quack, who is in I think like Masters 1 or higher, have a dragon and like see the dragons that they experience there, you start to think like, shouldn't the dragons I'm meeting in, let's say, Riders Passage 2 should be a little bit higher, maybe around like the Dragonverse Duels 1 area? But then there's also, arguments to be made that maybe I just don't have enough experience. But again, just looking at analyzing each of the dragons that I meet in Riders Passage 2, I already feel like, holy shit, this is really bad. Like, it can only get worse from here. Like, the dragons you experience upper, like what else can you see, right? And then again, watching Quack play Masters 1, that's when I was realizing like, holy shit, yeah, no, there's just no way. Like, these arenas are gonna fucking suck so much. Like, if the dragons that Quack experiences in Master 1s are like almost somewhat similar to the dragons you experience, let's say a third, 2/3 of the way down, like what are you going to do once you reach the halfway point? You're just going to get completely annihilated. Now again, of course, the dragons like Quack experiences, they have a shit ton of perks put onto them. They're hitting like stats that are beyond what I experienced down here. But what I'm saying is that it just gets progressively worse and worse and worse. Like the how do I say this? The climb from beginner to hatchling like 1 is just like smooth sailing, like very normal, very standard with the progress that your account is having. And then once you reach to around, Riders Passage 1, you then meet a lot of people with, event dragons, mostly heroics and legendaries, mostly heroics, that are like pretty much going to dominate your dragons. Like, your dragons are just going to do shit because you're statistically going to, like, your dragons are statistically worse significantly, right? And if I'm experiencing that earlier on in terms of, the staging of arena, then it doesn't get better. It just doesn't get fucking better. Let's see here. Okay, I've pretty much covered all my points actually. But I think so. The idea, okay, I think if I had to do a TLDR, basically, again, this is supposed to be a short, tangent. If I had to do a TLDR, and and everyone's like, oh, you made a bunch of shit points, I'm just gonna sum up everything pretty much, and why I think you should probably listen to what I'm gonna say here, and you should listen to what I have said. Is that arena is not a tool for establishing how good you're performing yet, especially if you're an early player. Even if you're a mid-game player, arena is a tool to establishing late-game players how well they can perform beyond Masters 1. Everything up until that point is so pointless. Everything you gain is so pointless. Look at this. Like, these are horrible gains, and the only useful thing are these tokens, which tokens you can get a lot from. A lot of these tokens you can get during events. Like, one of these recent events, I was able to get 1k legend tokens. 1k. So I can get proportionally more tokens in events than I could ever to climb, right? So, okay, so there's, I don't think there's a really good argument there, right? Okay. Besides that, what else? Actually, no, there's no besides it. There's nothing else to gain. These dragons are mostly shit. No one ever uses these dragons. I've legitimately not seen a single person use these dragons in the battles or anything. So these dragons are shit. We know that much. And what else is there? Like, there's just no argument to say, oh yeah, you should push arena. There's no reason. Unless you can actually climb to Masters 1 and perform from there, then there's no reason for you to climb. So any early and mid-game player should just simply not climb. There's no benefit. There is nothing to gain. You just get a fancy trophy number, and then you lose out on many other features, which, like example, some features are building up team, right? Because if, let's say, you have new dragons you want to introduce and you want to rank them up, how do you rank them up? You kill dragons. And how do you do that? You do league battles, or you do arenas, or other things as well, like battling friends and everything like that. But why not have another useful tool for actually ranking up your fucking dragons, right? Why not? That's what I'm trying to say. Why not have an extra tool to build teams, right? Especially if you're an early and mid-game player and you're cycling through a lot of dragons to get better dragons. Maybe you got your first heroic back then, and now you have like 4 heroics or 3 more heroics, and you want to replace the old one and you want to rank them up quickly. Arena is one of your best options. Like, let's look at this. Like, this guy is literally level 121, and he's in he's in hatchling. What the fuck is that guy doing here? And most of the players are lower leveled. Yes, again, I'm not gonna argue against that, but what I'm saying is that you're not going to experience anything better past 2000, especially if you're an early game player. Unless you have a team of like 1 or more heroics, you're not gonna do well up until like Clash of Claws 1 and 2. Like, if you have a single heroic, you can actually reach Clash of Claws 1 and 2. Like, easily is what I'm trying to say. That's the difference. Easily, right? But even then, a lot of times you still have to use skips. You still might have to use 1 or 2 battles to reset skips just to get good matchups, right? So what is the point? Again, there is no point. There's no point. Just stay low and be able to rank up dragons and perform in alliance chests and events. Those are probably like the 3 best things in this game to actually growing your account. Pushing arena does not grow your account. There is nothing to gain here. There's minimal things to gain. These are not that important. And these games are horrible for the amount of effort you actually have to put in anyways. Like, Jesus, like putting all this effort in just to gain these shit things or these average things it's not that good. It's just not, there is no argument for trying to push. So yeah, short rant over. Basically, yeah, TLDR, don't climb arena, stay low in arena, use arena as a tool to rank up dragons and perform well in alliance chests and events. Mostly alliance chests. I would say alliance chests super important. If you want to stay in good alliances, you usually have to perform well in the chest. So staying low, it allows you to excel and perform really well, which that basically means you'll probably be staying in good alliances if you can excel, right? That's basically what I'm trying to say. I remember some of the higher alliances, they require like some insane minimums. Not insane, I would say actually pretty fair minimums to retain your position. And I think if you want to be that, then yeah, you should stay low in arena. Only climb arena once you have like maybe 2 to 3 heroics or against some legendaries like vamps. Like, vamps are broken in arena in my opinion. Vamps, like all the vamp gods or whatever the fucking stupid names are. Most of them are really good for arena battles. And so if you can get 1 or 2 of those and maybe like 1 heroic or something, basically just build a good team before you climb. Otherwise, there's no point in climbing. You're not gonna gain anything. So yeah, short tangent over basically, and I'm just gonna say that my next video, I will just be another short tangent next video actually. I'll just be discussing breeding and basically how to do that. I might have time today since I did a short tangent today. Again, this is like super short relative to my league video. I might make it today. I might also release it today. But basically, I'm just gonna be going over a brief like idea of like how to actually use breeding effectively, and yeah, it will be really short. I'll be releasing that. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you, and have a good day.